Hello and welcome to Gradient's weekly roundup of key economic and business developments in Sri Lanka for the week ending 25th November 2022. I'm Nishani Figuera and here are the top stories for this week. China works with lenders to ease Sri Lanka's debt burden. Investment bank Nomura says Sri Lanka at high risk of currency crisis. Policy rates unchanged as inflation dips after 13 months. Cabinet clearance for bank resolution framework. We will also briefly look at other notable news and wrap up with a capital markets update. In our main story this week, according to Nandalal Veerasinghe, Governor of the Central Bank, Sri Lanka is expecting to go to the IMF board in January 2023 if it misses the December window. He also expressed confidence of getting assurance on debt restructuring from bilateral creditors in the next few weeks. This comes as Lee Guanjun, Councillor, Economic and Commercial at the Chinese Embassy in Sri Lanka, said that China is working with relevant countries and international financial institutions on easing Sri Lanka's debt burden and making it sustainable. Financial analysts based in Washington, D.C. reported that Sri Lanka is likely to miss the December deadline for securing IMF funding, as China has shown little or no interest in restructuring debt with Sri Lanka. Nomura Holdings, a Japan-based brokerage and investment bank, included Sri Lanka in its Damocles warning system as a country at high risk of currency crisis. The findings are based on analyzing the country's forex reserves, exchange rate, financial health and interest rates. In addition to Sri Lanka, 6 other countries are identified with elevated risks. It also noted that aggregate score among 32 countries is at its highest since July 1999 and not too far from the peak at the height of the Asian financial crisis in 1997. On Thursday, the central bank maintained policy interest rates. The Monetary Board of the Central Bank was of the view that the prevailing tight monetary policy stance is necessary to rein in any underlying demand pressures in the economy. This comes as island-wide inflation in October fell for the first time in 13 months. The National Consumer Price Index rose 70.6% from the all-time high of 73.7% recorded in September. Food inflation was eased to 80.9% from a year earlier, whilst prices of the non-food group were up 61.3%. According to Justice Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, the Cabinet has cleared changes to the banking law, thus enabling setting up of a bank resolution framework. This is to cover resolution, closures of banks and deposit insurance. Previously, the IMF and World Bank had recommended strengthening the bank resolution framework. In other news, the SLTDA reported that 31,302 tourists arrived in the country during the first 17 days of November. To date, just over 606,000 visitors have visited Sri Lanka. In November, daily arrivals improved to 1,800 as against 1,355 in October. Meanwhile, Emirates announced plans to add one more daily direct flight between Dubai and Colombo to meet the seasonal increase in demand. According to Lasantha Lagewana, State Minister for Transport, a demerit point system for traffic offences is to be introduced from January 2023. Licenses of drivers receiving more than 24 demerit points will be suspended for a period of time. And now let's take a look at the weekly movement of the All Share Price Index and the S&P SL20 Index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all-term maturities contracted for the second consecutive week. Of the 125 billion rupees worth of bids, 75 billion rupees were accepted. And here's how the rupee performed against the dollar this week. In other market news, Singapore-based Create Design entered into a 3-year $1 billion investment agreement with the Colombo Lotus Tower Management Company. It plans to develop a casino, international conference centres, shopping, water sports, among others. And that's a wrap for this week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for more updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.